Man, this movie stinks.
Marco, why don't you come back to the Air Force? I've got influence now. I could work something out.
Thanks for the offer, but I'd rather be a pig than a fascist.
Then you better keep your plane out of the skies. The only way the Italians will let you fly is if you fly for our country.
I only fly for myself.
Welcome back to another episode of The Harbor. I'm your host, the Kino Cowboy. I'm here with Casher and Scott. And we're on our 101st episode. We've cleared the 100 episodes, and now we're back doing a, I would consider underrated Miyazaki movie. Talked about less than some of the others. So, Porco Rosso is the name.
It is weird when you have a director who is almost it's almost like a Kubrick or a Spielberg with animation. Even his weaker movies are considered to be excellent films.
Yeah.
Classics. So it is hard to compare. This is the second time seeing it. The first time was actually, it might have been right before lockdown.
Oh wow.
And yeah. And it is different from his other films. It's his most realistic film in many ways, except
Wind Rises.
Except for maybe The Wind Rises.
Yeah, just technically.
And
Nausicaa is pretty realistic.
Oh yeah, Nausicaa.
Yeah, not the giant bugs. Yeah. There's giant bugs in this, and they're called.
It blends fucking fantasy elements and like historical situations like perfectly. Like if I were, 10 years old, I'd think there was a fighter pilot named Marco who turned into a pig named Porco, who was the best fighter pilot in the Italian army.
It's inspired by a real pilot.
I bet that guy was fat.
Yeah, but that's the thing is that the only bit of magic really in this movie is the fact that he has a curse. And I find it funny no one in this movie really bats an eye that he's a pig, and that's what I don't know. It's cool, and it's like everything else is grounded in reality. And we don't really see anything alluding that there might be more similar shit going on, like magic or anything. So, like, but maybe this universe.
He's walking through Milan with a warrant on him, but people are just like, "Oh, it's a pig man."
Yeah,
like there might be other ones of those. Or he kind of has the Humphrey Bogart Ninja Turtles trench coat thing going on. Where it's like, oh, nobody can tell who he is.
Porco Rosso might be the most based character in all of Miyazaki's work. Awesomely anti-fascist, and all he cares about is a good meal, soft bed, and beautiful women.
And he's a misogynist.
That's the thing. It is.
So he's based.
It is this movie, and I really noticed this on a second viewing, because the first time I was just taking up the atmosphere. And this is a movie about atmosphere over all else, I think.
Yes.
Literally.
And I know Adrian loves the beachy atmospheres. And it's, part of Yugoslavia's in it. He's Albanian. There's a hotel, Adriano, at the center of the story. So, of course, we're covering this.
Yeah, people at home, my name's not actually Kino Cowboy, so.
Yeah.
But...
So this is a movie about atmosphere, all else. And I remember I watched this. It was in Spain with my roommate. And we watched it kind of Spanish summer day, glass door to the balcony open, streaming in, having a couple beers. Like, it was real nice. Then that's a lot of my memory of this movie, actually, is that.
Perfect setting.
Perfect. Mediterranean country, although technically landlocked Madrid, so not really. But you got the culture there. This movie did make me miss Europe and the Mediterranean, and just the whole sitting in a cafe with the bread and the coffee.
Yeah, it made me miss Olive Garden.
Yeah. I live next to one.
Bastard.
Unfortunately, the tornado didn't take that, but it took the comedy club. But I think that's comedy club's back though. Yeah. So this movie is incredibly atmospheric, but it kind of hides. I don't even know if it hides, but there's underpinnings of fascism, and the movie really is a reflection on individualism versus the collective in many ways, I think.
Yes.
His defecting from the military, which is why he has a warrant out for him, because better a pig than a fascist, as he said. because this is set in 1929. So I'm thinking the Depression just started, like Black Tuesday happened. So the economy's crap. And I think Italy's economy was not doing great anyway in the post-war period. But there's that. And he was a World War One veteran, fighter pilot, ace, like the Red Baron.
Yeah, like Snoopy.
Like Snoopy, yeah.
I do want to make, before I forget this, Porco and Howl have a lot in common.
Yeah.
There's a lot of backdrops. So Howl, defected from the wizard because they were going to start using them for weapons and weaponizing it to fight other countries in the beginning of the movie, is right when the stuff starts to really hit the fan. And we're a little bit more so in the beginning in this for when the war is going to be starting, but shit's starting to hit the fan with like fascism and things like that. And that's kind of like the surrounding areas with the world that Howl lives in. He's being hunted throughout the movie, and Porco Rosso is technically being the same thing.
Yeah.
Very similar, that they try to like keep their own individuality and do what they think is right for them and right. Well, Porco Rosso more so right for him. And
there's a dangerous to the individuality, but it also comes from self-hate.
Yeah.
I will burn all the bridges, and that way, by distancing myself, I won't hurt anybody else.
But
which
also,
I don't relate to at all.
But also, there's the similarity. Sophie in Howl's Moving Castle, she has a curse placed on her, and you both get that. You get the sequence in this and in Howl's where when Sophie's sleeping at night in one scene, she's briefly her normal self again, and then you get the scene in this where Fio sees Porco as a man briefly while she's woke up from sleeping. It's an interesting parallel.
That's cool.
And
I don't think Miyazaki likes war.
Yeah, I don't think
no. Well, that is all anti-war and environmentalism and airplanes are all themes in his work. I'll draw another parallel to The Wind Rises, where that main character, whose name I forget, I only saw it once in theaters. You need to see it again. But that main character got, based on a real person, might be a real person, got into aviation engineering because of his love of planes, and then he saw his passion, once the war effort kicked off, be used for Imperial Japan. And he had a conflict there as well.
To talk on that, Fio even says that you're destroying art. Like the plane that Porco's in is art. It's not a war machine. You're doing damage to something that's beautiful and is taking creative process. And that's the whole point of the character in The Wind Rises, is that he wanted to fly to be free and to express himself, and they turned it into something malignant and cancerous to the fucking world. And it's like, Wind Rises is crazy good. I cried like a baby in that.
Yeah, no, that movie's intense.
Yeah, I cried like a baby in that.
Like, that's a movie you would have to explain to parents who take their kids. Like, tuberculosis is a major plot point.
Any kids movie that has fucking Werner Herzog in it, I know is gonna fucking hurt me.
Oh, was that Werner Herzog is the German in that movie?
Yeah.
What? I didn't know that.
Damn, that's been 10 years since I came out. So
been 10 years.
Saw it at the fucking rave.
Yeah, I was there.
I remember my ex, the first woman I ever dated, I brought with it. Then we ate IHOP after, and
we were all bloated for fucking ever.
Dude, screw IHOP.
Now listen, this film in particular stuck with me. I came later to this movie than other Miyazaki movies. I watched this first, I didn't watch this until 2015 or 16. Which comparatively, I watched all the other Miyazaki movies in the 2000s.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know why I came to it so late, because it's just not talked about as much, I guess, as others. The more
also,
fantastical.
It is a kids movie, but it's there's a lot of adult themes in it.
It's pretty.
It's heavy.
It's less for kids in that way, I would say, but it sticks with me because just how strongly it makes me wish for another time and place, because it has such a strong sense of place, like Scott talked about with the atmosphere. And I get this major fear of missing out for something that never even happened to me or anywhere near me.
On what? The Yugoslavian conflicts?
No, just like just that era, like the film, it has that feeling of the final era of exploration, the old world and stuff. Like it's already gone by this point. Like this is the last of the remnants of that. And like that they even talk about later in the movie about how it's over. You can't go after pirates anymore. It's like the last hurrah of that age. No more bounty hunting, freelance, like pirating, that kind of stuff. Like the remnants of the old war or old world. It's over, and just kind of getting lost in that time and how the summers and how just time keeps going on and on. I don't know. And Hotel Adriano, everything about it's just like.
Well, I can tell you this, Adrian. If Trump wins in 2024, we're going to Albania, buddy.
Yeah,
I'm not staying in this fucking country,
dude. We can go to Macedonia. It's beautiful. Greece, bro.
I could,
yeah, fuck yeah.
There's no racism in Europe, especially in Yugoslavia.
The guy in me now is like, it doesn't matter how he gets this curse or anything like that. Like, but the wonder in me is because of how this is very much the end of that old world kind of lifestyle. It's like maybe this takes place in a similar world as other Miyazaki movies, but like all the magic is gone now except for a few remnants, and maybe this is one of those leftovers. You never know. I don't know. Interesting thought.
Yeah. No, it definitely doesn't matter. This is one, I mean, most of his films I would consider fantasy, but this is one I would put it closer to magical realism.
Seems like a Madame Zeroni kind of curse.
A Madame Zeroni curse?
I don't know
it
about
seems
that.
Self-imposed. It's still, even in the explanation they give, where he's ambushed and he feels guilt for, escaping, survivor's guilt, basically. It doesn't really explain why he comes out of the cloud, wakes up, and is a pig. It's almost like his guilt manifested into a self-curse.
Yeah, it's his own fault, really. I think, because he had no right to be that guilty about that. What can you do? I did think of like it's so mean to call him Porco Rosso. Imagine if he wasn't a pig and everyone just called him Porco Rosso because he's a fat fuck or something. That'd be fucking. I'd kill myself.
A crimson pig. Yeah, he's like bloated and red from drinking alcohol.
He's got the red plane, and then he's a pig. So it makes sense.
Yeah, crimson pig.
Plus, he's like the sexiest character Hayao Miyazaki's ever made. That dude's got charisma out the ass.
Porco Rosso cools.
I will be Porco Rosso till I die, my friend. I'm fucking.
His bacon is sizzling.
Dude, it's like I haven't seen this in like 12 years. This is my second time watching it, and now I'm like, man, I kind of wish I was Porco Rosso.
Like the film single-handedly made me interested in like pursuing the idea of like private pilot license. Like, even though I'm scared of flying and shit, the thought of like learning to fly a plane and flying around a tiny little plane like that is fucking awesome. And who knows, maybe
to my homie Spencer who does that, and fucking he makes me want to fly even though I'm scared to death of it every time.
I know, yeah. Just
my
like
uncle has a plane. He does that. It's but I don't know. Professional pilots is a rough.
Yeah,
life.
but you could. I mean, even if it's a hobby, I've watched a lot of vloggers like just take off and fly around and then come back down, or like fly like a few hours over and get lunch somewhere and shit. I'm like, God damn, that's cool as hell.
Here's this guy I went to a music festival with in like 2015 or 16, and he was working on getting his pilot's license then. He was like 21, 22. And now he's got it, and he's getting married or whatever, I'm pretty sure. And the first date he took his girlfriend on, he flew her to fucking Colorado for a show, and then flew him back to Kansas City that night. Like, that's pretty baller.
Hell yeah.
Cool.
Dude, you can make some fat fucking money too.
Yeah, it's $38,000 just to get off the fucking ground.
That's how much it costs?
Yeah, that's for that's just to get off the ground, and then per like 100 miles or so, it's like $18,000 more. Our buddy's owns a charter plane company, and he has certain clients that call him up, be like, "Hey, are you available with this?" He's like, "Yep." And he does it, and then he gets to he chills in the area that they're at. Like they went to Cancun once, and he just like fucking chilled at the resort until they were ready to go, and then he came back.
See, this sounds like a fucking way to live.
It's pretty sick.
Fly around fucking rich folks.
Also, your carbon footprint is Godzilla sized, though.
Yeah, dude, I love Godzilla.
Screw the Earth.
Bum, 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 bum.
Yeah, dude, that's what I'm saying.
Well, that comes to a point. Flight in this movie, in all movies, really represents freedom. But and this is something I personally think about or struggle with. In many ways, I am about as free as a man can get, in that outside of being a billionaire or something, because I have no dependents. I'm single. I work remotely. I can pick up and travel wherever I want, pretty much. But at the same time, there's a flailing about when you're that free, a directionlessness. And I feel it in Porco. And he has this desire to help people, but at the same time, he loves people so much that he can't bring himself to get close to him because he feels like he'll hurt them, because he hates himself so much. So he almost feels like he needs to help other people in order to redeem himself and the own qualities in himself that he hates, whatever those may be.
So it's a weird like yin and yang. He's got the freedom to do what he wants, but all he's doing is escaping. He's running from something and trying to make up for something that was not necessarily anything he needed to make up for. And it's keeping his freedom to a certain area. Like he consistently flees.
Right. That's a lot of internationals, a lot of Americans in Europe, even though he's Italian in Italy, but he's fled his own country though. He's living in his own cool, it seems cool, like, oh, he has a little hideaway cove, but this guy's living in a tent. There's kind of a shack on the island that's probably old and dilapidated, but
there's, I mean, to be fair, in the 20s, it'd be pretty cool to live on some secluded beach in a fucking tent. But I do get
like coconut crabs like Amelia Earhart.
Yeah, I've read about that. But there's that seclusion, and it's his own fault. He could be like hanging out with Gina all day, the woman he's friends with, but instead he only visits at Hotel Adriano at night occasionally for some drinks, and then he's on his way.
The woman who's down bad for him too.
Yeah, even though it was her husband, his friend, he was the best man, and he died, and he survived. So I guess he feels like he doesn't deserve to get that close to Gina, which sucks. And that's the thing is like. And Gina, I was like, where the fuck do I know her voice? Oh yeah, because I always watch the English dub when it comes to
Disney
Ghibli.
curates a good English
Disney
dub.
Does a great job with the dubs. She's Steven
also,
Universe's,
that's what was on HBO Max.
Yeah, she plays Steven Universe's mom, Rose Quartz, and she also plays Meg in Disney's Hercules.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, that's where I know her from.
They have fucking Bill Fagerbakke in this fucking movie too.
Yeah.
Rick.
You hear him a couple times. But I love the American guy. What's his name?
Kurt.
Yeah, Kurt. He
That's Carol Elways, by the way.
I know, yeah, he does a great job too.
Yeah.
I'm just now looking at the voice edit.
Dude, the craziest one they've got on here is
Michael Keaton as Porco Rosso?
Yeah, what? You didn't notice?
No, I didn't know that.
They have fucking Frank Welker as one of the background characters.
Yeah.
And I was reading into him. I mean, he's a legendary work. He's the third highest grossing actor of all time. Not
Frank
voice
Welker?
actor.
Frank Welker?
Yeah. It's one of the first things that says on his Wikipedia.
That's crazy. Well, I guess, I mean...
He's in all the Transformers. More importantly, he's in Mortal Kombat.
He's in Fred
the
Flintstone.
1995 one.
He's in
And that movie
fucking
is awesome.
60 years of Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Doo, yeah.
Every
Yeah,
single episode, every single movie, he's getting paid at least something, you know. That's a lot.
It's,
There's
yeah, I
like,
just fucking insane to me that
I
he's
mean,
the
there's like
first-
40, there's like 30 or 40 Scooby-Doo movies.
Are you saying his income or the income that his projects have?
He's
Yeah,
also the third highest grossing actor of all time.
yeah, based on his
Oh,
box
I
office
guess his.
receipts.
Oh, whoops! I thought it was his. I was like, man, he's making bank.
No,
No,
that's
not his
still-
income. It's
no,
the
that's
income
still
of his
impressive.
projects.
It's
Still, he's probably doing
17.4
okay.
billion his projects have fucking made.
Hell yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's fucking. Tom Kenny's in this too.
Yeah.
It's weird how many things Tom Kenny was in before he broke out with SpongeBob. He'll just show up in like Mr. Show and stuff.
Yeah, and then we've got David Ogden playing Piccolo, which is not the green one.
Yeah.
Which is cool because that's Kamaji in Spirited Away.
And yeah, what was I saying about Gina? I don't know, but first of all, films that are rich in their world building make you wish you could spend way more time at these locations than you do. Like that whole Hotel Adriano is the shits. And and that's the great thing about movies, that when they're rich like that, they make you wanting more after you're done watching it. You're like, man, I wish I could just bask in that, stay there.
Like,
I wish I could eat the 2-dimensional spaghetti and meatballs they serve.
Well, you just
Yeah.
think about all the stories of people that come in there and the things they talk about and all the different guests that have stayed there. And it's like, I could watch a whole fucking TV show about Hotel Adriano. Who knows what kinds of shit goes
It
on
could be
there.
like Cheers with pirates.
It's crazy that Miyazaki can have like massive magical worlds like that, and then have something as mundane as a hotel have just as much like mysticism almost.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's fucking cool, man.
It's
Also-
because the fantasy and the mysticism is rooted in character and theme.
Yeah,
it is
absolutely.
not there for its own sake.
Yeah.
Everything
like-
is very deliberate.
Like the best.
And what really is enchanting is his exploration of the human condition as just an artist. And that's why even a hotel can seem as charming, even though it's very romantic. There's pirates. It's kind of like a saloon.
Well, yeah, it's the best part about that is like Gina's got that shit on lock. Like, there's no fighting in their fucking hotel. It's a neutral point, so everybody's in there, whether you have bad blood or not. It's cool. It's like classic fucking saloon.
John
vibes.
Wick.
Yeah.
I was thinking it's the
Yeah.
Continental and John Wick.
Yeah, for
Except
sure.
like I just like that it's a little island you have to like fly in to get there and stuff. It's so cool, man.
Yeah, it's an interesting business structure she has there.
Yeah, it's kind of like I bet it's like, if you know about this place, then hell yeah, let's go. You know, I don't know. That's cool though.
I do want to say that the main fucking pirate capo looks like the villain in Popeye.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Pluto.
Yeah, I don't know if that was.
Yeah, he does. He kind of has that look, that brutish
He's
look.
got that whole
Really,
vibe.
all of the character designs in this are impeccable.
Yeah, you even see rubber hose cartoons in that movie theater scene. So
Yeah.
there's definitely an homage there.
I also have to think that like none of the pirates are like malicious. They're like the nicest pirates on the planet.
Yes, Miyazaki strikes the tone. He's a fucking genius at it, striking that tone of there's adventure and there's danger while still being lighthearted. And that he sets it immediately in this movie with the pirates are taking over this ship, but all the little girls aren't taking the hostage situation seriously at all.
So
And the
cute.
pirates are even being nice to them as they take these little girls hostage. that sets it like immediately.
Why do we have
and-
to take them all? And they're like, we can't separate them.
Yeah, they're all friends. Yeah.
Well, I'm a slut for cute things, and that's I love that whole scene. Like watching them all, like, what's this do? What's this do? And I'm just like, okay.
And they're all dressed the same, and they're like schoolgirl uniforms.
And like you
And
would
they're trying to
like their
fire-
schoolgirl uniforms, but
They're trying to fire guns at Porco and they're like
Yeah.
right next to the gun and shit. I don't know. It's like, but that's like the perfect way to set the tone immediately, and it carries through the whole film. Like they're about to kill Porco on his private island, and Theo is like talking shit to them, and it's all lighthearted. And I love the way Kurt is just like standing in the rocks, dude. And he's like, "What's up, guys?"
Yeah.
Also, it's a good example of how people overseas like really see Texas as this American stereotype, because he mentions he's from Texas like several times. It cracks me up. It's like
It is to people overseas. There's 3 states. There's New York, there's California, and everything else is Texas.
yeah.
That's how they see it.
Well, even it just, I don't know. Every time I think of like the stereotype of Texas, I just think of the Pee Wee Herman movie where he's just like, "Where are we?" And then he starts singing, "The stars at night are big and bright," and the entire crowd around him goes, "Deep in the heart of Texas," and I'm like, "Okay, we know where we're at."
Yeah.
No, he's like a really good play on like the old school actors though that like went to war to. It's kind of like clout chasing, like nowadays. You go to war, become a war hero, you come back, you become a movie star, and then one day you'll be Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, exactly. That's his ambition. The funniest fucking part, oh my god, is when he sneaks into Gina's garden, and the first thing he says to her, he starts quoting his own screenplay that he wrote to her. I was like, Jesus Christ, dude.
That's
This
something
guy's-
Steven Seagal does.
Yeah, dude, that's fucking horrible.
No, that's awesome.
I should start doing that to people to pick up chicks. Yeah.
Quote patrician's guy. There is something about, yeah, that's how we're seen, especially sort of toward the end of the Roaring '20s, when America was really becoming more of a global power, and even before World War II. There was this sense. I read a really good book. It's called The Razor's Edge. It's by William Somerset Maugham, who's British, but he writes about his time in America, and it's around this period, and it's in the interwar period, and including the Great Depression, stock market crash, with wealthy Americans in that time. And there was this talk of like America is prosperous and will become more prosperous than any other country in history, which actually did come true. So there is this optimism. Americans are optimistic. That's what it is. There's this weird, it maybe not in the past few years, but there's this weird optimism that Americans have that a lot of other countries just don't. And it's naive because our country is like a teenager, basically. It's like an angry teenager, but we have nukes. So it's a little weird.
Shout outs to Oppenheimer.
Yeah. Coming out in 2 months. Well, it's all thanks to our good old system of where people can believe that if you work hard enough, you can become a billionaire just like these guys.
Yeah, dude, just like Ronald Reagan. You can be Ronald Reagan. Why can't you be Ronald Reagan?
I love Ronald Reagan. No, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna strike that from the record. I do like Kurt that it shows he tries to hit on Gina and stuff, and even in the bar and stuff, and you realize how flimsy his idea of he just wants a woman, just because more of like a visual thing, like an accessory and
arm candy.
So yeah,
it's a beard. Curtis is actually gay, guys.
Yeah, Curtis. Well, no, it's just fucking ridiculous how quickly he's like, sure, fuck it, I want to marry this girl, and it's just like that he's willing to fight to the death for it.
One of my favorite lines in the movie is when Gina tells him about, first of all, she basically, I think she says she's in love with Porco, or says something like that. Maybe not in love.
She says she made a bet.
Yeah.
And it's the only bet she wants to take
That's what's keeping her around, is that she wants to see if he'll come into her garden and not just show up at night to drink there.
Right. And she says something like, love is complicated here. It doesn't happen all the time like it does in America, or something like that. She basically criticizes Americans as being overly
Which
romantic.
Americans look at like places like this as like romantic. You're going to have this beautiful summer fling, and you know, it's going to be this.
Yeah.
My dad always used to say because he used to go to, like, when he was in the military, he'd be in the South America, and they'd go to some pretty cool places. And he says you always have a Mexican woman in your heart.
Yeah.
He says you always come calling back to him. And it's just like you romanticize things because it's different for a little bit, but it's not like it's going to stay around forever. And if it does, you may fucking end up hating it, you know?
But also, America does have that, especially back then. Like, you're supposed to get hitched at 19 and start a family and get a job and this and that. And even today, it's like way more socially acceptable for people to be 24, 25 still living at home in Europe, a lot of places. You know?
Oh yeah, dude, especially in Italy.
Yeah,
and their family homes. It's like
Yeah.
generational homes.
and
Shout out to my parents for kicking me out at 17.
it's just like such a, and she even calls him like a little boy because that's how complex his mind is on stuff like that, and he just does not get it. So
But it's
he,
like you know who he reminds me of, and this might be a shitty comparison because one of them's a literal Nazi, is Daniel Bruhl's character in Inglourious Bastards, who's got this romanticized ideal of being a war hero when he comes back, and that everything is going to fall into place for him, and it's going to be like a movie. And
Yeah.
that's literally kind of what he's going for here. He's about to go star in movies and become the president, and I don't know.
Hollywood's a giant propaganda machine, and it's interesting to see Miyazaki probably kind of criticize Western cinema and probably Western animation as well. I know he's very resistant to 3D animation. He did come around to that.
he should be.
Yeah. I remember John Lasseter, who apparently is a huge piece of shit. But anyway, John Lasseter at Pixar got him into 3D animation for Castle in the Sky, finally, because there were some shit designs. He was like, I don't know how to do this in 2D.
Yeah, because dude, everyone these days and for the last 15 years have used CG computer graphics for cars because they say cars are a pain in the ass to animate because unlike people who bend and move and can contort and can be kind of stretchy, cars have to be the same exact size at all times. So when it's drawing distance and perspective, it becomes very technical, very fast. So they just use CG.
That makes sense. I read Susume had some 3D in it, and the cars were 3D, I think.
Yeah.
Some of that stuff would definitely be hard to animate in 3D, and they did it well. And I feel like films have become a lot better at blending the two. But my point is that there's this Hollywood is a propaganda machine, and there's certainly fascist propaganda in this, and there's certainly fascist propaganda in Hollywood in war movies, and things in this idealized, militaristic, individualistic culture that we have. It's interesting to see Miyazaki's boomer, very jaded with Japanese imperialism sort of brain call that out for what it is.
Yeah.
Real quick, I want to double back to the 3D animation thing. It's actually like you said it with Suzume. I haven't seen it yet, but I kind of expected to have the 3D animation. It's been in anime and like the medium in like China and stuff like that. They've been really trying very hard to blend 2D and 3D seamlessly. And like at first, it's fucking awful. Like go watch the Berserk movies from a few years ago. They're fucking bad. But now it's to the point where you can barely tell. And it's like this, it's just going to get better and better, and they're going to be able to seamlessly do it. But I'll always respect Miyazaki for always coming back to hand drawing things.
Yeah, we need it more now than ever.
Well, so animation's kind of also doing a turn back towards that in a lot of ways. I saw a game that's been going viral recently that has animated cross stitches in it.
Yeah. That was fucking sick. I saw that too.
That's crazy. And then we've got Cuphead that like classically animates. Like, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see where animation goes.
There's the new Disney Princess movie is 3D animated and it looks like Frozen and Tangled, but like there's this overlay over it that's supposed to kind of look similar to 2D, but as of right now, I don't know if it completely works. It almost looks like a weird cell shading or something. I'm not sure if that was the right move because it looks kind of weird. And I don't know if that's just not the final product, but we'll see how it looks in its entirety. But Disney's a coward for not doing traditionally animated films anyway. But that is a problem.
Expensive.
But I will say Dragon Ball Superhero took a minute to get used to, but the 3D animation in that it's completely 3D animated, but made to look like anime, and it works.
That look great.
What, Dragon Ball Super is 3D animated?
No,
Or
Superhero, the newest movie.
Superhero? I
Yeah.
didn't know that. I didn't see.
Yeah.
I saw the first 3 movies of that, but not
Yeah.
that one. Hey, did you see Klaus?
Yeah,
No.
Klaus is excellent.
It's very well animated. That's kind of the opposite, where it's a 2D traditionally animated film, but the way they use computers to help render the lighting in order to make it 3D animated, and that gives it a very interesting look. The story is it's okay, but as a fan of animation, it's beautiful.
A lot of theatrical anime releases besides Dragon Ball Z has seemed to go the route of like no 3D animation, but also like slight 3D animation at the same time. Like it's all 3D animation in Superhero, but the other 2 big releases that came out in the past year or 2, the Demon Slayer movies and then Jujutsu Kaisen, they have scenes where it looks 2D, but it couldn't be. Like it's like the way that it's animated is just it's becoming more and more seamless, and it's getting fucking cool. Like even One Piece Red has fucking like interesting 3D mosaics that look 2D, and I'm really excited.
And I'm not fucked up about it, but I do like movies that do stick as much as they can to 2D because obviously we don't have that much anymore. So it was great to see Suzume in theaters. And before that, it was like, what was before that? Bob's Burgers, maybe. Like,
but had some like interesting ways to make the characters look a little bit more fleshed out than they would on the TV series. Belle, before that was like the scenes that were, in the real life, and then scenes that were in the computer.
But that had like the perfect reason to do that kind of stuff. That worked really well.
It was one of the close to the beginnings. There's a studio called Studio Trigger that did
I've heard of it.
Gurren Lagann. They did some Star Wars Visions episodes. They've got Promare. They got a new one. I need to see that. Oh, Promare's the shit. It's fucking mech firefighters.
Yeah.
But they got a new one coming out that looks really good, and it looks like they've stepped up even more. It's fucking crazy the amount that they're fucking putting work into these.
Yeah. So Porco goes back to Milan to fix his plane, and he goes to his usual guy, Piccolo, who he's been friends with for some time. And Piccolo's like, my granddaughter's gonna fix it for you. And we get the moment where she's like, are you not doing it because I'm a woman or because I'm 17? And he's like, both. And we get that he's a womanizer, but he's also just like a misogynist. But to be fair, I wouldn't want a 17-year-old working on my plane either at first,
Yeah, or a woman.
But she says fair to that. And I'm like, no, girl, you need to stand up for your
She's in a different world.
I know.
No, he's a guy who's fought in World War I. You think his sexual politics are going to be super?
I know. It's just funny that
there's a gay guy in this movie. He'd probably flip it. Like, I don't know. Porco Rosso is probably a huge transphobe. That's all I'm saying.
I know. It's just funny. Like, she just says, like, yeah, fair enough. I get it. I'm a woman. And even at the prayer, Piccolo is like, and forgive us for using all women to do this, or whatever he says. And like really quickly, amen, or whatever.
My favorite line whenever they're figuring out it is only women is those 3 old ladies come up and he's like, you guys are still alive? And then they're like, yeah, we need money to play poker.
Yeah.
It's so fucking dope.
She's like, Fio's like, I can't help that I'm a woman, but I'll do the job right. It's like, damn. And then I do like that she's like this prodigy. She's like a genius at 17. Is
she Mary Sue?
Man, no. We don't know her back. I assume
she a Ray Skywalker.
No, I assume back then it was common. You didn't have to stay in school. You could learn a trade instead. Much more common back then. And so she probably was just a real natural at it. And I love that shit when it's like a young person who's like weirdly is like a prodigy of this shit. It's like,
how many people did Italy lose in World War I?
Yeah, exactly. They probably
Lot.
needed her.
Probably not a lot of men around the time she was born.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's probably a whole generation of men who were missing. That's why there's more women in the workforce and so many women working
That's
on
what
that.
I'm
Like,
saying. So
Yeah.
it's a
and
good.
then the ones that the younger men who are alive are probably conscripted into the fascist regime.
Yep.
Well, the Piccolo brothers immigrated because of the depression that was coming along.
Yeah.
And so thankfully they're not fucking Mussolini bootlickers.
It's just funny because she's designing schematics for a plane at 17. When I was 17, I was jerking off and playing Halo. And it's just,
Yeah.
you know.
And now that I'm
Sometimes
29,
at the
I'm
same
jerking off
time-
and playing Halo.
I was like, you can do it at the same time, and it's just as hard as writing schematics for a plane.
And it's bold as
Ooh,
fuck.
headshot.
It's bold as fuck for Porco to talk shit about women while they're building the fucking plane for him. He's just sitting around doing jack shit. Like, fuck you, asshole. Like,
Yeah.
look at
I
this shit.
wish I could be Porco Rosso, guys.
But also, it's another one of those like atmospheric kind of sequences of just feeling like you're a part of something that's going on, and all these women are putting this plane together and stuff, and he's just kind of hanging out. And then he does go to the theater and sees his friend Ferrari, and Ferrari's an ally to him. And I like they have a couple brief interactions, but they're very interesting because it is kind of like foreshadow a lot to the shit that's about to unfold in Europe in just a couple years.
When
It's
did
already
this
start.
become apart, like start really coming into? Like,
When did what?
When did Mussolini really start coming into?
Oh, he
power?
was already in power in this movie.
Yeah.
So
like-
yeah, he's starting to
Like
go.
he came into power like 1922.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1919 is what it says.
Duce.
I'm gonna say douche of fascism until 1945 when he was.
No.
Fucking 1 year after World War I, he popped in and was like, all right, let's do this shit.
He pretty much just walked up to the king and was like, "Hey, this is mine now." Like it was they marched on.
No. You gotta say it correctly. He went up to the king and went, bippity boppity boopy, give me your country.
Okay.
It is. Oh God, his speeches are so Italian though, in his weird bravado.
I like his I like watching him get hanged in the street.
Oh man. Yeah, but it's just like you do get those creeping undertones of they're not quite there yet, but shit is really starting to stiffen
More than
up.
creeping, they annexed Fiume, which is modern day Regica or something. Like they're straight up. So they're like a lot of nationalists, like Putin or Hitler or anybody. They think, well, we used to be this kingdom. There's this weird golden ageism that they exploit in the populace of like, we used to be great, make America great again, make Italy great again.
Yeah.
That's what fascists do. And then he was like, well, we need to take all of these islands in the Adriatic and the Mediterranean, like reincorporate them into Italy because we used to be Rome, man. And he had interest in Yugoslavia like that, you know. And that's where this movie comes in because that's where the Adriatic is in which I had to remind myself to look up. I was like, I know the Adriatic is a body of water, and I was like,
average American.
yeah, my geography skills are great. I don't know. I'm actually kind of weird with seas. I don't know why. I guess because we don't have a lot over here.
Yeah, we don't have a Caspian Sea.
Nah, dude. Like Caspian Sea and Black Sea and all that.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe?
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
Now, the scene where, because right after that, the secret police are already following him and stuff, and then there's that sequence where they're up really early and everyone's getting they're being very quiet to get the plane ready in secret so Porco can escape, and it's very probably purposely reminiscent of Sound of Music, where they're trying to get the car out of the house so the Nazis don't catch them so they can flee from out of Austria or whatever. And that's a very famous scene, so I feel like it was very reminiscent of that, just like a proto version, since it's a different kind of fucker. But yeah, I love that sequence of them like, no, fuck it, no tester, no testing the plane. We're gonna have to try and fly it out under these bridges and shit. And it's like,
It's
fuck.
another thing about this, like the kind of like that points to some of the character flaws in Porco Rosso is like he should probably upgrade his fucking plane. Like they talk about it being a relic, and it's the sentimentality's there, but it's more
Yeah.
of like a not giving up on, like, not relieving yourself of what has happened in the past that scarred you. It's a constant reminder.
That's a good point.
And
It's,
Absolutely.
it's from
Also,
a
I
different,
think the guy bounty hunting is, I mean, you can make money, but you don't get rich off of it because you have so many expenses. Every time you get out, your plane gets shut up and you got to repair it.
that's the thing, is like he's just trying to find more money, but then he spends all the money just trying to repair his ship, and it's like a loop, it's like a cycle. It's like, what are you really doing here? You know,
It's like an MMO or something, like a video game. Like, go out and get quests and get loot to repair your gear, to get loot to repair your gear. It's what it is.
and what I like
There's
is that
there's something appealing about that. I don't know, that sort of freelance. Even when I used to Uber and stuff, there's a part of me in my monkey brain that liked it. It was like
Crazy taxi.
Yeah.
yeah,
I do want to. I like the. I don't know if we're at this part yet, but the
it's whatever, dude.
dog fight that that they have at the end.
Yeah,
It ends up just coming to fists. Like
Yeah.
the two greatest pilots probably known at the time can't defeat each other in the air, so they have to defeat each other on the ground. It's fucking.
It's
poetic.
machismo.
it's machismo. It's barbaric, and it becomes very like poetic in that way.
It does, especially whenever they're both under the water and it's about to be 10, and the thing that shoots them up is Gina. And be like, Porco Rosso, get the fuck up.
Yeah.
No, they need a
Like
strong women to be. It's almost like the mom coming in and be like, boys, quit playing.
Exactly.
Quit fighting. That's what it
And
is.
it's like a brutal fight scene too. Like they're beat the fuck up.
The animation, and that's why that really works better in 2D. Is the animation of just the lumps and the bruises, and it's so exaggerated.
And it has that like Looney Tunes style of like bruises and shit. There are, you're right, dude. There are some like references to old cartoons in this for sure. And but before that, Fio goes with him after he argues about it because she wants to, it's a big adventure for her, but also like she is the mechanic and can fine tune shit on the way. And I love in movies, here's the thing, the older guy and the teenage girl duo can be really fun, but you have to toe the line just right. Otherwise, fuck you, basically.
American Graffiti.
That's what I was going to say. We talked about in American Graffiti how he has that girl hop into his car and he kind of just has the babysitter the rest of the night. He never, it's never creepy. Like there's some jokes and shit made and she says some fucked shit. But they toe the line just right, especially because it's in the 60s. It could have been a lot worse. This, he obviously never has any interest in her like that. He always calls her kiddo and stuff like that. So it does toe the line just right. And it's realistic, I think, for her to feel desired because she's 17, you're immature like that. So she's like, what, you don't like me? And he's just like, you're cool, you're a nice kid, but whatever.
And then you got Kurt's fucking weirdo ass being like, let's make a bet, I'll marry you.
I'll marry. He's ready for marriage. Like he doesn't even give a shit, dude.
Age of consent in Texas is 12 in the 20s.
He's like like a Disney villain in that. He's like a Gaston, dude. He doesn't give a shit. But yeah, also 17 isn't far-fetched in the 1920s to get married.
No, it's not.
So, it's a different time, but also purposefully, he's a fucking himbo dumbass. So, but
I do like Kurt. I think he's a fun character.
I do like Fio. I like when Fio is like, well, maybe, it's like the fairy tales. I just have to give you a kiss. And he's like, no, that's fucking stupid, basically.
You're fucking weird, stupid.
Yeah, and then later she just does give him that kiss, and it actually does work. That's the fucking payoff that I like. It's like, I don't know, it's funny, but yeah, she she saves his life by negotiating with the pirates and makes them see what they do as better, and like real. She gives them like a sense of purpose.
She appeals to their ego. She rolls a nat 20 on her charisma check.
Yeah.
And she appeals to their ego of, you guys are pirates. You're Legend of the Seas. You have more honor than this. Parlay. That sort of thing.
Yeah, parlay.
I call parlay.
Parlay. Yeah, dude.
It helps that these are like the goofiest pirates ever. They're like the VeggieTales pirates that don't do anything except they rob people.
Yeah, but also they're similar to the pirates in Castle in the Sky, and the same kind of vibe to them. So
one of the great things about Miyazaki, not even compared to just animation, but to film in general, is his villains are rarely say chaotic evil or something like that. Usually they have their own interests, their self-interest at heart. They're very complicated, much like people in the real world.
I can't think of one that would be chaotic evil.
Well, no, I mean, there's Mola's gang in Castle in the Sky. They are villains at first because they're after her necklace and shit, but they become allies. And Mutsuka, voiced by Mark Hamill, is very much like he just wants power, and he becomes very evil, and he even starts destroying parts of the city, just trying to achieve that. So I would say he's pretty chaotic.
He's probably up there.
The only one I can think of besides that one,
Hitler from The Wind Rises.
Is what's his name? Hold on, give me 2 seconds. I've got it pulled up. It's in Princess Mononoke. It's not Lady Iboshi, but
she's not bad.
She's badass.
The guy who, his name is Jikobo, the fucking little hermit ninja dude. But he's really just in it for himself.
Yeah.
But he's the one that kind of fucks the whole world over just for $1.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And that's also a theme, and he's very critical of capitalism, really, and just greed in a more basic sense, and how that distorts people's perceptions, because people can rationalize just about anything, whether it's for pride or for country or for greed, and there's a complex but ultimately pure moral center to all of his films.
I was gonna say, there's not really in a lot of his films, there's not like a true villain. It's mainly just nature versus man, or the complexities of like ideologies, because like even in Mononoke, Eboshi's supposed to be like the prominent villain in it, but she's taking care of like leftovers from the streets
and stuff,
lepers and prostitutes, and she's a pretty fucking like good woman. But
and a lot of this is that Hollywood doesn't trust Americans to believe in gray morality, and in a sense they're right to think that. And it all has to do with our Christian roots.
Fucking Puritans. Like even in like Howl's Moving Castle, the main conflict is just wizards that have been turned, their hearts have been turned to fight for the war and shit, and like all the bombs dropping are like wizards that have been like so defiled by this shit that they're no longer human, basically, and just
they're following orders, and it's similar to like the alchemists, the state alchemists in Full Metal Alchemist.
Sure, yeah,
like they're following state orders, and those turn them into literal monsters. But like the alchemists come out with fucking PTSD for the most part.
Fascists.
Yeah,
and I like
rather be a pig than a fascist.
Yeah, and the Witch of the Waste, who gives Sophie the curse, she's just by the end of it, she's just some dumbass old lady who really is no longer relevant to the plot, except for when she tries to take Calcifer's for himself. But like, it is interesting how unconventional these villains are, and it's so fresh. And that's the thing, is like he's trying to fight Curtis to get out of his shit, but really it's the only threat is that the Italian Navy or Army or whatever, like coming in to advance onto their fight and try to arrest these people. And a lot of these people are pirates, and they have, or there's also like gamblers and thieves and all these different people. And it's just like all these almost like outlaws all in this one area. It's like the one last hurrah. Like I was saying, it's almost like this is it. For all these kinds of people to band together and come together for this one last big event, it feels like, before
one big dirty, dude.
Yeah, before they're invaded. I don't know. And
the age of piracy is gone, but there's a golden age going in Somalia that anybody can join.
Yeah. But I do like the scene that makes me surprisingly emotional is when he does tell Theo about his near-death experience, which is, to me, is one of the most interesting visual interpretations of a near-death experience that I've seen. It's like very ethereal, and he like rises up into this plane, like plane, like, you know, like, and he sees all these dead souls in planes from the war flying up, and it's just this visually striking, beautiful image, and it actually makes me very emotional, and especially the music makes it.
Also, Michael Keaton kills that monologue pretty well. It's you know, it's got the right inflections, and I don't know. Fucking Disney always kills it with their fucking voice.
I know, it's just like we need more characters that can have nuance like that. Like, why would he feel guilt about this? Like, of course, I guess if he saw this kind of visual vision thing, then it would have probably affected him heavily. But
there's a big thing with like soldiers and survivors guilt, man. You're bonded with these people, and your mission is to make sure everyone comes home. And when someone doesn't come home and you do, there's always that question of like, why was I the one? And a lot of people bring that into like the deity stuff, and you know, why was I the person that is sent back? And then that can fucking eat you up inside.
And then I guess he has so much, like eating him up inside. His insides are so torn up that it transforms him into a pig. He's no longer his old self, and I don't know. It's a surprisingly beautiful film in that way.
There's almost a survivor's guilt for seeing his country die as well. Imagine fighting for your country, seeing all of your friends die, and then a couple years later, your country is in a fascist dictatorship.
Unrecognizable, yeah. And now he's having to live with it and kind of just go from place to place. And when he does return, this country that he used to love is after him, trying to arrest him just because he's not conforming.
Like a fucking failure as a soldier, even though he made it out. You know, that's, you win if you make it out, you know, but you don't feel that way if you're actually in the thick of it, you know?
Yeah.
You want to come back and think that you did something to protect the sanctity of democracy or socialism or whatever, and you come back and it's a fucking dictatorship, and it's not the same place, and he's fleeing.
Yeah, it's
freedom.
Devastating in a way. And I do like that, of course, Gina never calls him Porco. She says Marco because that's his real name, and
because she's down bad.
I know, but like, even he sees himself as the pig. He crosses out his own picture that she keeps on the wall and stuff, and it's just like, dude, self-hatred can be gnarly. I don't know. But yeah. The dogfight though, when we finally get to the dogfight, dude, I was rewatching it, and like I was saying about how hard it is to animate cars that they use CG. Yeah. This movie is traditionally animated, and you're having to visually, with like cartoons, plan out a dogfight like that and have all of the angles in the sky and the ground all to scale and right from every single shot and angle, and they're flying in these crazy maneuvers, and you're seeing the ground from the sky and stuff, and it's just when you really pay attention to that dogfight, how it's animated, it's mind blowing, and I can't even wrap my head around the planning that would have gone into doing that.
No, absolutely not. And it also has another one of the best jokes in the whole film is Curtis standing outside of his, like on the top of his plane with a fucking revolver.
Trying to shoot him, yeah.
Calm down, you cowboy idiot. Like,
yeah. But it's like
hilarious.
There's some angles in that dogfight that I've just never seen in an animated film before, and it's incredible.
Dude.
And Porco could have killed this guy at any fucking point, and that's the cool part, is that he's just kind of playing around with him. He doesn't want to actually kill him or anything. I don't know. It's cool.
It's interesting that all the pirates know that too. That they're like, he's shooting the plane. He's not shooting at Curtis.
Yeah, he doesn't kill the pilots either. Which is so insane. It's so the idea that you could aim that well flying a plane is ridiculous.
And all the G-force of the turns that they're constantly doing loops and stuff. At one point, you see them, they can barely hang on for their lives. They're like sweating bullets. Like, it's almost like in a Rocky movie when they're like, they can barely swing and they're like about to fall over and shit.
Yeah.
And
or like
then,
the fight at the end.
But then it really turns into an actual boxing match. And then it quickly, like, everyone like changes gears. They're like, fuck it, y'all can still bet and shit. And I like the pirate who uses a grenade in the frying pan to signify the bells like you would in a boxing match.
Yeah.
I mean, they straight up use boxing rules. They're just like round 3. They're timing it and stuff.
Yeah, it's a bare
they just
boxing
impromptu do it,
which is fucking gnarly. But
I do like, after everything is said and done, though, it kind of ends and we get like that prologue of like what everybody's doing, and it leaves like a shroud of leaves like a shroud of mystery still with
that. Makes me emotional too.
Yeah.
Because it's I do love hearing that Theo became good friends with Gina,
and she's running the company.
Yeah, but that does worry me that maybe they got close because Porco maybe never showed up. And then it's shrouded in mystery whether or not he showed up to her garden or not to kind of accept that. And I like to think that he would so he could be happy, but I'm really worried that he didn't.
Does he want to be happy?
We got to hear the plane during the end credits though. So it kind of gives you hope that Porco didn't just go fucking kamikaze himself.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying he didn't show up to say, hey, I accept your love.
Well, he's also being sought by the fascist government at this point too, so
he's but like
shot on sight.
No, he could have still professed his love and shit.
Do you guys think that whenever he didn't have any money, he would cut pieces of himself off and eat it since he's a pig?
Fry it up.
Yeah.
I like how when they're doing like the final dogfight, Theo goes and sits on the chair and all the pirates want to take pictures with him, and that dude beats the shit out of all of them, so he's the only one in the photo. It's a great visual gag, very old school cartoon. Yeah, overall it's like that scene's so much fun. He knows how to inject it with like just a lot of different details in every single point of like, oh, this pirate's doing this pirate's doing that. All these different pirates are enjoying this for different reasons. Some are gambling, some are, I don't know. It's so rich. Every scene's so rich in all of his movies. That's why you just want to live in his fucking films.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's fucking great.
Probably also why he's the most depressed, fucking pessimistic asshole human being ever. But his movies are magical fucking getaways to worlds that are not plagued with the shit we've got.
Animation's so tedious, man.
Yeah, think of how long it takes to plan every single sequence.
Oh, for sure.
That's like, what the fuck?
I still think it's hilarious. He saw Goro's Tales from Earthsea and then told him to quit making movies.
It's fucking terrible.
That'd be fucked if your dad came out and you're like, what'd you think? Just stop. Just quit.
Yeah, dude, that's fucking terrible, dude. Well, That's like old school Japanese bullshit. That's what that is.
There's a whole Japanese custom where the father and the eldest son would kneel down at the table and the wife would bring the meal. And if it wasn't to the father's satisfaction, he would reach across, slap the son in the face, thereby knocking over all the food on the table. So she would have to make it dinner again.
Bro, we throw hands.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
I'm going out to fucking McDonald's, dude.
Yeah.
Why would you go to McDonald's when there's probably a fucking takoyaki shop right next to you?
Dude, they like the Kentucky Fried Chicken there. It's a Christmas.
I may have said this before, but my dad had a waitress who she went to Japan for 2 weeks and she came back and my dad was asking her about the food and shit. And she's like, oh, I didn't really eat any of their food. And he's like, what are you talking about? She's like, I mainly just ate like McDonald's while I was there.
Fuck that.
And my dad was like pissed off for a long ass time.
I would fire her.
Like,
you
what
don't
the
deserve to
fuck?
work in a restaurant.
You fucking insane? He's like, you're not gonna try. She's like, no, it didn't look like anything I would want to eat.
Dude, there's a fucking alleyway that has fucking like 60 of these like charcoal like gross skewer spots that only fit like 5 people in them at one time. And you go in there and you get drunk with the chef and you eat as many of those motherfuckers as possible and you walk back to your hostel. I want to do that. I want to go to a fucking maid cafe where it's a bunch of buff bitches freshly squeezing juice into a glass.
Dude, those fucking conveyor belt sushi restaurants where
those are in Houston. You guys could go to one.
Yeah, I know. I've watched a lot of Japanese food vlogs.
The best part about those though is like they keep you going because like every 5 plates you get a little gotcha ball.
Yeah.
Smart.
Have you seen that guy who's like the master of making that omurice like omelet thing?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the omurice is fucking hard to make.
I know, yeah.
It's my dinner time. You guys are making me really hungry.
Yeah, I'm hungry too. Scott, do you think Porco Rosso showed back up to accept Gina's love?
No. I don't think he did. And that's the pessimist in me. You know how I view endings of movies. You saw our Logan's Run discussion where I was like, everything's fucked.
It was insightful though, because it made sense.
I think he doesn't want to be happy. He doesn't think he deserves it. So, I would hope by the end of this, Theo and his friendship with her would open him up, so there is a chance.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I got a question then. What do you guys think of the red plane that's docked by Gina's garden?
I didn't see that.
There is a red plane that's docked there.
That's another level of ambiguity.
Yeah.
So it's like
that gives me hope.
I also think that she wouldn't say if it was a secret if he didn't show up.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Why would it be a secret if he did?
Because he's wanted by the police.
Oh, that's true.
I don't know. It's interesting though. I do like that Theo goes on to be like she's like basically the head of this big company now.
It's Cabbage Corp, dude.
Yeah. Except she probably her shit was probably used for World War II, so fuck her.
Yeah, fascist.
But she does take time out of her years to go hang out with Gina at the hotel, which is tight as fuck.
The difference between German Nazis and like fascists in Italy,
the food's better.
Is that in Italy they didn't want to be fascists and they fucking executed him in the fucking street. They weren't going to do that with Hitler. So fuck the Germans. Italians are all right.
Yeah, we're anti-German in the harbor, dude. Oh, never forget.
Dude, Pearl Harbor, never forget, Germany.
Yeah. Next week on the harbor, Michael Bay's Pearl Harbor.
That's in my like top 10 hated movies of all time.
Yeah.
I fucking hate it.
It's not horrible. It's
I've
just
seen scenes on
stupid.
TV. I have no need to watch.
Don't make a love story on Pearl Harbor.
What's more romantic than Pearl Harbor?
What's more romantic than fucking Japanese people drinking and then immediately driving into or flying into your fucking boat? I don't know. I can think of a few things. Still a better love story than Twilight.
Oh my god, I haven't thought of that meme in 10 years. That got so grating, dude. Oh my god.
All the Twilight hit got rating.
Now, this movie, yeah, I love this movie. It makes me want to sit at a rural cafe somewhere in the Mediterranean. Yeah, definitely. I think it's a top 5 for me, Miyazaki. I'd
it's
have
definitely
to,
top 5. It's the most underrated of my Miyazaki, in my
yeah,
opinion.
for sure. I'd have to rank them sometime, but yeah. Next week on the Harbor, Muir Tarkovsky. First Tarkovsky
yes.
on the fucking cast. It's going to be dense. Look forward to that. It's going to be quite different from this movie, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
But
What,
anyway.
Tarkovsky and Porco Rosso aren't the same?
No. But thanks for listening, everybody. We'll be back next week. Any final thoughts? Anything you want to say?
You know,
Fuck
like,
fascists,
subscribe, leave a
fuck
comment.
Donald
What did you think of Porco Rosso?
Yeah.
Do you think they got together at the end?
Interact with our content so we can grow. Anyway.
Like, subscribe, and text me sometime, please.
Feed the algorithm.
Feed the algorithm.